3, 2, 1, play. All right. Slasher Fred, I think that what made the original 28 Days Later was such a very popular movie. So that was the first to introduce the fast-running zombies trope. I mean, they're not zombies, but other than that, you are correct.
They're pretty close to zombies.
They're
This
not.
is
They have one thing in common with zombies, and that's they don't talk.
that's the only thing they have in common. Okay,
They're
that's
not.
funny.
They're not dead. They don't eat
Yeah,
human flesh.
yeah, they bite
And
people.
I think you could
They're
argue that
mindless.
once they're infected, they're as good as dead.
They're mindless beings. Then oh my god, stock footage. The scariest thing.
Ah,
So one thing with this movie that I don't think works all these years later is the way it's shot. A lot of this movie looks rough.
ooh.
Uh,
See, so this is, and I don't, yeah, this isn't on 4K or anything, and I think it's actually kind of hard to get this movie physically, but
It is.
I like the look of it. It, which is strange because I kind of agree with you, John, and I do think it does look a little dated. But it also, I don't know, there's the way that this is shot just brings like a real grittiness to the material.
And it's a very specific 2000s grittiness where it's very of its time, but for me not in a bad way. I like the rough digital look. It gives it a very like documentary feel, but of this era.
Yes. Yeah.
right,
And there's just like a
and
scrappiness to it too that
when I say
just
that,
like
it is
really
definitely
works.
intentional, and they are achieving what they are setting out to do. I just don't
Yeah.
know if it's gonna age as well as like Snyder's Dawn of the Dead in another 10 years.
No, I watched this yesterday with my roommate, and we were watching it on our 4K TV, and he was like, "Oh yeah, even on this 4K TV, this movie looks really like crunchy." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I think it works though."
Yeah, for me the crunchiness is just it's part of the atmosphere.
I remember
Um
this
and the
scene I
vibe.
will never forget, and I feel like whenever people mention this in other media or parody this is the scene that they
Mhm.
do.
Well, the setup is so interesting where at least on a surface level, the animal rights activists are the bad guys.
Yes.
'Cause they're gonna mess up real
Well,
bad.
and what I appreciate is it's not, oh, aren't animal rights people dumb? It's these are good people. They just fucked up. They didn't do their
They fuck.
research.
Yeah.
You know what this reminded me of on a rewatch?
So
The ending of this is how the ending of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom should feel. It's fucked up and dark, but that movie plays it like it's a happy ending for some reason.
Yeah. Wow, that's the second time Jurassic World has come up tonight. That's crazy.
I just it's something I thought of rewatching this. Like
No, good call.
when she's talking about these monkeys, she might as well say like they're alive like me. Opens the thing out.
And I buy why they end up doing it too, because this guy's like, "Oh, don't! They're infected," and they're like, "With what?" And he's like, "Rage."
Range.
And it's like
Okay.
realistically, like, how seriously are you gonna take that? Just
Yeah.
open the gate.
yeah,
How we explain the rage virus is really goofy. It's like I don't know. We strapped a monkey and just made it watch stock footage of the news, and okay. I'm not sure how these experiments work, but all right. Um, it's very silly, but on this rewatch, I just had a whole experience with this where obviously we always know it's the rage virus, but I had forgotten like, oh, this movie's about rage, like it's talking about stuff. It's
yeah,
so the reason for because what the doctor here says is like first to cure you first must to cure you first must understand, and it's like
Yeah.
the people conducting these experiments what they're trying to cure is rage, as in like civil unrest and people like what they're really doing is looking for a way to control people. It's how do we take away
Yeah.
people's rage to fix the problems of the world, and then of course the exact opposite ends up happening. They make things worse. There's just a classic sci-fi man playing God premise that really resonated with me on a
Now, I will
rewatch.
say
Mhm.
this stuff I think looks better than the rest of the movie will. Um,
And this prologue may have been shot later. I'm not sure about that.
all I know is the making of this movie must have been a mess because there's like 6 different endings.
Yes.
Um,
And I mean, this was a low budget, scrappy movie.
and I still haven't seen any of this guy's other movies. Uh, Danny Boyle.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Danny Boyle, yeah.
I've obviously seen other Alex Garland movies now. If you haven't
Check
seen it,
out.
Civil War is fantastic.
I haven't seen
I
any
don't care what
Alex
anyone
Garland.
says.
I haven't seen any Alex Garland directed movies. I still gotta watch some of his stuff.
Yeah, and I really wanted to like Warfare, man.
Oh my God, it's Oppenheimer's penis.
Oh,
Okay.
so I forgot about this because obviously Alex Garland writes Dread, and it looks like he has an uncredited director's role in Dread. It's just funny to me that
Yeah.
Dread and this share a writer. But it looks like he's writing 28 years later The Bone Temple too. That subtitle's
Okay,
gonna
that's good.
drive me nuts.
I need to see it in context.
You ruined the flow of the series.
What if they called it 29 years later and just made it the
Oh
Years
God,
trilogy?
I think my
Oh.
OCD might go insane. 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 29 years later.
I'm
Fuck
trying to
you.
fix the title for you, John. What would
You
you
should
call it?
have
20 years later too?
you should have just made 28 years later, 28 months later, and just pretend that no time has passed. And then you could do the fourth one, which would be 28 years later, and just end it there. You
I
don't
need
need to
to
do
see
any
the
more.
movies first.
I don't
So
care.
this
Just
opening,
fix it.
so this scene right here is a little reminiscent of the opening of The Walking Dead to me,
Very
with
I
reminiscent.
feel
with
like
Rick
I feel like Kirkman has
waking up.
said he was inspired by this, but I could be wrong.
See, I feel like I've heard him deny that this was always his idea,
Okay.
was to do a character waking up out of a coma. I don't know. There might be conflicting information out there
I
because
could
the
be wrong.
time I'm not sure. It's just this. So this movie comes out in 2002, but I don't think it hits America until 2003, and then like 6 months later, the Walking Dead comic starts. So
Oh, okay.
the timing is like, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's a very similar setup, and it's a good setup.
Also, first movie I see, I'm gonna mispronounce his first name, Killian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy.
Killian.
First
I'm
thing I
pretty
see
sure
him
it's
in.
Killian.
This is the best scene in the movie. He opens a Pepsi can. He just woke up from a coma, and he opens a Pepsi can faster than Dakota Johnson could in Madam Web.
Oh,
And it's the same type of Pepsi can because that movie is set in 2003. It's all connected.
He's gonna go
He's a
into
kid.
another coma with the amount of sugar he eats. This movie.
Well, and what's fun is they keep track of that because remember by the time he meets the woman and that guy that she's with, he's like crashing because he's on all this
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that comes up a few times.
And John, to your point a second ago, whether Kirkman comes up with that coma idea on his own or is inspired by this movie, when they're shooting the pilot for the show, Darabont's definitely looking at this movie. Like that intro goes on much longer than it does in the comic, and it's shot and framed very similarly to this sequence of this guy just walking around this empty wasteland.
Because I don't know if you guys have seen all of the different endings to this movie.
Mhm.
But most of them, the difference is just whether or not Jim lives or dies.
Yeah, I haven't seen any alternate endings, but I do know that he was supposed to die initially, I think, in the first script.
Yeah. And
We've
there's
waited
where
28 years to find out what the fuck happened to him.
and this is where Tom Cruise runs in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Oh yeah.
Because
These are
we'll
the only
get to
two
it, but
movies to ever use this location.
that is the weird thing about Weeks is it has like nothing to do with this one, character wise.
It's a very standalone sequel.
It just feels like, well, this movie was very popular and made a lot of money. We need to get another one out.
Mhm.
Also, I just want to say like how incredible it is that they were able to film this. Like they
I love
somehow
that too.
managed to clear the streets of London for I think a very brief part of time, but like
Mm.
still like
Yeah, this was probably all shot in like one day.
I don't know what
yeah,
you guys are talking about. This is just what London looks like.
No,
it's
this
just
was.
constantly empty.
I'm sure there are some matte paintings or like digital matte painting shot, but a lot of this is just in camera. And the first
That's what
time
I'm
I
saying.
saw
That's
this
just
movie,
what
I was
London
like,
looks like on a normal basis.
yeah, no, I'm with you, Noah. I was impressed by just all these
Yeah.
locations they were able to get, and I had that thought of like, oh yeah, this is kind of an end of an era, or like with how we shoot these types of movies, because I Am Legend, the Will Smith version, is kind of a turning point where that's a very expensive movie, so we are in a lot of real locations with streets shut down and stuff. But there's also a lot of CGI and green screens and background stuff. Like that's like the middle shifting point, and that fast forward now, and we just never do this anymore. Like we're not shutting down streets and shit, and it's
Yeah.
not to this level. It's like we can just do that digitally in post, and I don't know. It does have a different effect. Like when you're seeing shots like this, like they're just real. It's very eerie. All these streets and buildings just empty.
It's more
Slasher
unsettling than a lot of the gore stuff to happen later in the movie.
Yeah.
Slasher Fred, the instrumental song in the house slash in a heartbeat. Oh, hi no, bye Noah. Hi Noah.
Sorry.
Became so famous that it was used as sort of the theme to the movie. I'm assuming he's
It,
talking about the song playing right now.
mhm.
By the way, I gotta get up for a second. I'll be right back.
You bastard.
Okay.
So I do have to say I respect the hell out of Killian Murphy. I don't know if you've ever seen any interviews with him. He does not care. He is there to do the job, and that's it. People will keep trying because he was on that show Peaky Blinders, and I saw an interview. I think he was doing for that where people kept trying to get him to engage with like memes and stuff people had made. He's like, I don't know what that is. I don't care. Like,
He's had he's like had that interesting mix as a career of both television and movies because he's done a lot of stuff.
well, I think it helps. I love Killian Murphy. He's not a leading man, except for like
I
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, like I think he is. He's
In
both a
what?
leading man and a character actor. He's a lead in this movie.
Well, but this is like a small budget. I'm talking about leading man. Like he's not like a Tom Cruise or
No, like of course not. Yeah, he's
He,
not
he
a
did.
huge A-list star like that, but Oppenheimer was huge.
I was gonna say
Uh,
he did win Best Lead Actor for a movie that came out a few years ago.
he's definitely more known now than he's ever been before.
yeah. But I'm
Um,
saying up until that point, like he was more of a character actor in movies,
mhm,
so it's easy. And it's easier for that kind of actor to cross over into TV and
yeah.
back and forth.
Sure.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not. You're not gonna see Tom Cruise in a show like Peaky Blinders. You're just not
Mhm. But
No. True. Yeah.
that's also the exception, not the rule. Like there are very few A-list stars on that level.
anymore. Yeah.
Um, yeah, certainly,
Slasher
absolutely.
Fred. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but there was a sad original ending. There's like
Oh
so
yeah, we'll
because I
talk about it.
remember on the DVD there's and it pissed me off because some of them are never shot. It's just like storyboards, which
Mhm.
doesn't do anything for me personally because sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at. But there's like four endings, and I think he dies in two or three of them.
Most of them, for sure. We talked over it. That's one of my favorite visuals in the movie. Is
Oh, yeah. The
the
mess.
end is extremely fucking nice.
Yeah. I
Who
love
wrote
that.
that? I love this shot because at first you're like not even sure where you're looking at. Just this mass of bodies on top of each other.
No, this is a wonderful. This might be one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just for how haunting. And this is kind of the shift where you know what's happening.
Mhm. I forget. Okay, do they? I did just rewatch this. Do they specify somewhere that like what we're seeing here? It's like the I Am Legend creatures, where it's like, no, generally they sleep during the day and they're active during night. Like, do they make that? Okay.
Because the general idea, the way I've always read it, is they are just living bodies infected with the the living personification of rage. They're not
Mhm.
out to eat you. They're not out to infect you. They are out to kill you because they're
Yeah.
angry.
Mhm. I would still say though this is Danny Boyle riffing on that genre and the stuff Romero's doing, and even Romero is
And
reinventing the zombie with each movie.
speaking of Romero too, I found this scene also pretty reminiscent of the first scene in Night of the Living Dead
Yeah,
in the graveyard, where at first he's not sure that that is a zombie approaching him.
It's not
Mhm.
a zombie.
And then he says, "Oh God, sorry, like I just hit a priest over the head." But I don't know. I see fast zombies or infected or whatever you would call them as like a subgenre of zombies at the very least. Like again, this is riffing on that
Yeah.
material and those tropes.
Well,
At
I
least
mean, it's funny how influential this non-zombie movie is to
on the
the
zombie
zombie
genre.
genre.
Oh, right, I forgot. Only things that are in the same genre can be influential to a genre.
No, but I mean, come on, John, they're so
Yeah.
connected.
But I look at those zombies the same way I look at vampires. There are lots of different types of vampires in fiction. We've discussed this
But
at
what do those
length.
all
Like
have in common? They drink blood
they're
and they
somewhat
normally come
undead.
out at night.
And these things
Don't eat
bite
flesh. They're
people.
not dead.
They they they're kind of
They
undead.
bite,
You don't have
infect
to shoot them in
people.
the head.
It's an infection that spreads. It also serves the same narrative purpose as most zombie movies. It takes place in an
This is
apocalyptic setting.
where I'm gonna complain a little bit about the way this is shot. This is really hard to tell what's happening at times.
I think this is pretty cool. I
Um,
have much more issue with that in the next movie. Um,
And
oh yeah,
that's gonna be an interesting one because I haven't seen that in years. Tyler, classic Noah, always bailing. That's true. That's why we call him
yep.
Bailing Noah.
We
yeah.
call him Noah the Bailor. Um,
Oh, sorry. Tyler. So, question for the group: Would you call this movie if it's not a zombie? It's a post-apocalyptic infected movie. It's not, but they're not zombies. There is a clear line.
I don't think there is. I think it's more of a gray area.
I think that but to me, John, that line is so thin, and this distinction is so small. It's really not worth making the distinction to me.
Even when Romero like co-ops the zombie word into his own thing. Uh
I think that,
Zombies have always been undead
Yeah, and they're
types
yeah.
of
not. These things aren't
people.
undead.
They might as well be dead.
I mean, yeah, they're as good as dead.
And also with
You don't know that.
Romero, also with Romero though, when you get to Dawn of the Dead, part of the commentary is the idea that there is a little bit of their personality and soul intact. Like I said, Romero's changing the rules as he's making his movies.
Right, but they are
I think
still
that this is
fundamentally dead. Yes,
Are
there's
they?
a little
yeah,
person.
but I don't know. I think
It
that this is in.
establishes if you're infected before
But
the
even
infection, your
vampires,
heart stops.
but with vampires, I feel the same way about. Sometimes it's like, well, no, you're literally dead, and then you're reborn as this other thing, or you're just a changed person. Again, vampire things we explore and change and
But
riff in all
vampires are
sorts of ways.
always blood drinkers who usually can't, who most of the time can't go out at night. I can only think of one time that that's not true, but at least off the top of my head. Um,
But one of the things you just mentioned was invented for a movie.
which one? The night.
like like they only go out at night, right? Like
Well, he does
that's
that in the book too, right? It's not that he won't be. It's not that he'll be burned to a crisp, but it's he's weaker.
yeah, he's weaker in the daylight, but he could still walk around. Not to turn this into a vampire discussion, but yeah, I'm just saying vampires, werewolves, zombies, they're all in kind of the same group for me, where we're just riffing and doing different things, or we're never consistent
This is
on
this
this
is adding
mythology across the
to
board.
a long conversation between other
Mhm.
filmmakers of what a zombie is.
Yeah, but if you were to ask me, do I consider this a zombie movie? The short answer is, yeah, it's Danny Boyle's take on a zombie movie. It's different,
I mean, if he
but
was gonna do his
also
take on a zombie movie, he should have put zombies in it.
they're kind of zombies. Do you consider Return of the Living Dead a zombie movie?
Yes, they're
But
dead
they t-
and they eat
but
people.
but they talk and eat brains. That's different.
But they're dead and they eat people.
But John, I
I
think they
don't know why
offer
this is such a hard concept to get. If they are
because
dead and they eat people, then they're zombies.
because it's hard to get because they operate the exact same way as zombies,
And
except for a
They
few
don't.
minor differences.
But
Do
the
these
reason why I'm
things
calling
eat
this
people?
they bite people,
Do they come back from the dead?
kind of. They
They,
Yeah,
change. They
but a
become
lot of,
something else.
but they
but a
don't
lot
die
of
first.
but a lot of people in zombie movies are not coming back from the dead. They're
Name
bitten
one.
and then they turn.
Okay, but no, what you're missing there is in 99.9% of those scenes where somebody's bitten and turned, they establish they are dead before they turn. The infection kills
And
them and then they come back.
to bring up the vampire thing, we're not consistent with that with vampires either. Sometimes you die and are reborn, and sometimes you just transform into one.
But you always come back
Okay.
as something that needs blood to survive and is at the very least weakened by the sun.
But then you get something like I Am Legend, which is a proto zombie novel that's like an in between of zombies and vampires, because that's just what vampires were, what those things were referred to at the time. But and to my earlier point of, I still consider this a zombie movie, and if they're by your definition not zombies, it's still playing with the same tropes and conventions of Romero's movie. It's still
Yeah,
the
but
same
if you're gonna
type
call
of
it a zombie movie, then
post-apocalyptic
it has to
movie.
have zombies in it. Like,
They're kind of zombies.
okay.
I think there's a couple other
Uh,
very distinct nods to Romero later in this movie
Mhm.
too that we'll get to.
Slasher Fred, the original movie makes me think of the Twilight Zone pilot, Where Is Everybody, where the main protagonist wakes up in the deserted town. I haven't seen it.
That's a good call. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I haven't watched this in a long time. But is there concrete evidence that the person remains alive after the virus infects them, or could the virus infection kill that person and reanimate them in the process? Um, if that is the case and it kills them and then resuscitates them, then they need to establish that in dialogue. Because that's not how it looks in both times we see somebody infected.
Yeah, in this it's more of like a transformation.
Zombie movies specifically establish dialogue that says the infection will kill you and then it will bring you back.
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
feel like they're
okay,
just
to be fair, at least like the big ones. I can't speak for all zombie movies because there's 6 billion
Mhm.
of them, but
And this scene's really good.
yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of brings into one of the other main themes about this movie that I picked up on, and um, I'm gonna. I feel like I'm gonna sound silly talking about it because I just keep thinking of The Haunting every time I bring this up.
Oh
But this
no.
movie's also kind of about family.
And that's
Uh,
what's so
It is.
powerful about it.
yeah, and that's what's so powerful about it.
I mean, I could see that because obviously these are Jim's parents, and then later we're gonna have Mad Eye Moody and his little girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Blew my mind when I learned that's who that was. By the way, I
Brendan
don't
Gleeson,
Oh
recognize
yeah.
him
yeah.
in this movie.
I love Brendan Gleeson. One of my favorite character actors.
Yeah, and we'll see how the sequels play out, but one thing people keep asking about and talking about is Cillian Murphy. Is he coming back for one of these? Are they bringing him back? Like
And they
I don't
are.
know. Maybe, yeah.
No,
We'll see.
Robert, it's
Like,
confirmed he's in that Bone Temple movie.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not looking deep into this stuff, but we keep talking
Fair
about
enough.
Cillian Murphy, and it's like, can we also bring back Naomi Harris? Because
Yeah.
she's great in this movie.
No.
Yeah.
If you like her, you should read those comics that I mentioned that bridge this in month and years or
Okay,
weeks.
but that's not bringing the actress back. That's a comic.
It's the character. It's close enough.
No, but I like Naomi Harris's performance in this a lot.
Yeah, I think her character, at least in the first half of this movie, is very strong.
Robert, is this other guy? Isn't that the older brother from Freddy vs. Jason?
Oh my god, is that who that is?
I think
I'll
it
have to
is the
see.
one that you only see in the one sequence in the bathtub.
Hmm. I don't believe so.
Okay. I mean, I don't know
Though
why
I
I'm
can see the
asking. I have the
resemblance.
cast. I have the cast pulled up. What is this guy's name? Oh, Noah Huntley. Oh no, it's not.
There's some other
Okay.
guy.
Yeah.
Who are you, other guy?
Oh, don't worry. He was in Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, he likes Days
They did.
projects.
They did a spin-off Days of Our Lives.
Of course they did. And
Like
this is one
in
of the shots where it's
2021.
like, oh shit! Like this shot is so weird, but I love it.
Where they're
Yeah, like
just
what's that
sitting at the.
thing up in the top left? Like
Oh yeah.
It's such a
Marge.
weird transition.
All right, I forgot that was a transition.
Yeah, there's like so many odd editing choices in this movie, but I really dig it. It just gives it such a specific, such a specific, vibe.
Are you
Character.
sure about that?
Yeah.
Oh, this so Mark that I thought was the older brother is older Peter in the Chronicles of Narnia. That was his very next movie. He's in it.
Okay.
I think he's in it for like 3 seconds, but
That'd be like one scene.
yeah.
Uh, one issue I did have watching this. I don't know if you had this problem rewatching it, Noah. At least on my copy, my digital copy, the sound mixing is very bad. I had to turn up the volume way high just to
Oh
hear
yeah.
the dialogue, and then
Yeah.
as somebody shows up and it's like, ah, God,
I'm
it's so
having that
loud.
now. If I didn't have subtitles, I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, so I don't have a great audio setup, but I did find myself having to like play with the volume a lot. Um, just like the
And I mean,
dialogue scenes,
it's always
I
been that way.
it usually is, but for this, like the dialogue scenes are so quiet.
Well, no,
It's
I'm
like I
talking
have
about
no
like with
idea.
this movie. I can remember having that problem going all the way back to DVD. It
Oh, okay,
sounds like it
okay.
was It sounds like it was recorded on like a cheap tape player sometimes.
Yeah, and obviously that could just be the way it was made, but even then, like you could still fix that in post. Like,
The problem is this movie doesn't hasn't gotten a proper re-release. I have it on
yeah,
Blu-ray somewhere, but a lot of those Blu-rays didn't do much.
yeah. This scene is so shocking. It's like, oh my god.
I think
Just very bloody and brutal.
this is such a weird movie in that it wants to look really, all grounded, realistic. Um, but then you think about some of the rules and like the plot. Jim has the most plot armor I've ever seen. Okay, so think about
Yes.
this. Think about this. The rules of infection are you can't get blood even in your eye. And he just
Yeah.
managed to escape getting ambushed by those two without an ounce
Th-
of blood
that
anywhere.
that's like my big problem with this movie is there are many scenes where characters aren't wearing any face covering for no good reason. And I'm like, put on a mask, put on goggles. But this is a great scene though, where her buddy is infected. And she just fucking kills him. That
Yeah.
really shocked me.
At
And
the drop of a hat.
John, we were talking about Walking Dead earlier. Do you think Kirkman's inspired by this character when he creates Michonne? Because I have that a lot.
I could see that.
I mean, I know she has a katana, but like her machete is like her signature weapon. Her looks kind of similar, and Michonne is introduced like a couple years after this movie.
So
Um,
Tyler brought this up. I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like it's been talked to death. Can we just stress that streaming services have really strange habits when it comes to availability of films? Netflix used to have this movie up until a few months ago, and now the new film is out and it's nowhere to be found.
that happens a lot.
All I will say that baffles me is because if you think about it, Disney owns this now, which is my big worry
Yeah.
when they announced we're shooting 3 and 4 back to back. Why isn't this on Hulu?
Right. Well, this happens a lot, but I think why that usually happens, it's like, well, we could have the older movies on one of our streaming services, but because a new one's coming out, or we could remove it from those services because a new one's coming out and force people like us to pay for them to watch right now because they might be more interested.
That's cool.
Thanks, studios.
Thanks, Disney.
But I mean, I don't want to defend Disney because I don't have any love for them. They don't do that a lot that I can think of. They don't usually remove or add movies from services.
Yeah, but I think that happens more with stuff like this, though. Like not like.
But then, if they were going to do that, why wouldn't they
movies.
remove Why didn't they remove like the old Alien movies when Rhombus came out?
That's fair. And also, I don't know if this has like if there are also like rights issues with this because this is one of those out of print Blu-rays.
I was real lucky. I wish I'd stopped to look for it that I got my Blu-ray when I did.
Yeah, this was a hard movie to find and even watch for a while. I mean, at least we could. I mean, it sucks that you have to pay for it, but at least it's on.
Yeah.
At least it's somewhere digitally.
And now you own it digitally.
Yeah. Yeah, Noah, I don't know if you saw my message, but right now, these were on sale. So I bought this one for $10 and 28 weeks later for $5. So it was like either spend $8 to rent both for a couple days or just $15 to own them. It's so
yeah.
Okay.
I do want to have a physical version of this at some point.
Good
I
luck.
just don't know. I know.
I'd prefer to own it physically, but right now that's not an option.
I like how Noah's like, I want to own this movie physically, but like the last 4 commentaries we've done, he's like, I don't have this movie. I had to rent it.
Yeah.
Doesn't own a single physical copy. Don't go watch our physical media video.
Don't. That video doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But also,
it's also crazy. This is 3 years, 2 years if you're American before it begins.
Yeah. And you know that Cillian Murphy first auditions for Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen his audition. I think it's really funny they still use the Kilmer suit.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I guess that's just the suit they used at Warner
That's
Brothers.
tradition now. Pattinson wore it.
I was gonna say Pattinson did that too.
Because if I remember correctly, with Superman, they still use the Reeves suit, no? Or is it the Routh suit?
Sometimes. I know Cavill wore the Reeves suit.
Okay.
I mean, we say the Reeves, one of them, one of many they made making those movies.
Well, but they're all the same design.
Yeah.
More or less.
But yeah, I know
Tyler
Cavill
says, well, it happened with Mission Impossible. I know it's a different studio, but I mean, you just pointed out it's a different studio. Also, like, I'm struggling to think of big examples of that. Maybe it's because I don't have Netflix at the moment. At least here. I'm sure it happens. Tyler, what would be your strategy if you were stuck in a post-apocalyptic virus-infected world? Find the tallest building and jump.
Find the nearest mall. Reenact Dawn of the Dead.
No, because I am fully self-aware enough to know I am not surviving this.
So we do this a lot in this type of fiction where a character will have like full riot gear and then they just stop wearing that later for no good reason.
Well, because now we got to see the face.
Yeah. No, I like the idea of like, if you get the blood in you, like whether it's through your mouth or your eye, it's like
that's
you're
a
fucked.
super cool idea.
That's scary.
This guy later on, his infected scene, I think is one of the most tense because it's not in a big fight. It's not running from a horde. It's There just happened to be a bird, and he looked up.
Yeah, just wrong place, wrong time. And it's a really believable situation too.
Yeah.
No, I remember as a kid, well, teenager. I was on my way to being a teenager by this movie came out. I just remember this movie being like a string of movies where survivors would only start making dumb mistakes once they cared about people. I was like, is this like the like meaning of these apocalypse movies? Like you become dumb when you start caring about people again? Because the same thing happens to what's her name in this movie, Selena. She gets
Yeah.
attached to Jim and that little girl and starts making stupid decisions.
This movie's
Yeah,
about
so-
why you shouldn't have families.
Also, young Brendan Gleeson looks like old Christopher Nolan, and it's really tripping me out.
Well, that is Christopher Nolan. Just he time traveled, like
This is where he falls on the
or like
Christopher
Interstellar.
Nolan, Brendan
Like,
Gleeson spectrum.
Is that right?
I mean, now that you point it out, kinda, but I don't know. Still looks like Mad Eye Moody to me.
Tyler says he studied this movie in his media class.
Oh, cool.
Is this a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
There's Christmas lights.
Well,
and
this is
Christmas music.
this is what the meaning of Christmas is. Fuck everybody else. We have lights.
So, I I don't know if I've really made this clear. On this rewatch, I was like, oh, I love this movie. I think it's great. I've got a couple issues with it. One of which being on this rewatch, noticing, oh, this kid's a really bad actress.
Yeah. We here at Haven of Horror do not bully child actors, but
I hope she's doing all right. I looked up her Wikipedia page, and she retires from acting like shortly after this movie. She does like one other thing, and that's it. So
I hope she's doing well.
she's doing all right.
I do think, yeah, I'm with you. I think she's maybe the weakest link in terms of all the cast
Don't
here.
worry,
Definitely.
Disney will pay an ungodly amount of money and bring her back.
And I mean, it's a lower budget movie. They're working with what they have. I can be more forgiving.
That was also just the thing at the time. Like there weren't a lot of great kid actors in the early 2000s.
I mean, there are exceptions, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think every era has their share of not so great kid actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty common thing.
Comeback.
It also blew my mind when I realized Selena is Calypso in the Pirates movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Moneypenny.
Mm-hmm.
Moneypenny in No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Well, in all the Craig movies.
Well, 3 of them. Yeah, I think I first see her as Tia Dalma in the Pirates movies, and then I later see her in Bond and find out she's the same actress. I'm like, that's who that was?
Yeah, that blew my mind when I found that out.
You're right. I forgot she's just like Moneypenny in all of them. Because she's in 3 movies, and I remember one of them.
Yeah. Well, I say all of them. I think starting with Skyfall is when she's
Yeah, because there is no Moneypenny in Casino Royale.
Right.
No, but I like the relationship between Jim and Selena here, because they have those discussions of she's very survival headed first, don't get attached, and he's a bit more open to human connection.
Well, yeah.
The thing is, all he wants is attachment. Yeah, and this all just started for him, and he just lost his family, and I think he spends the whole movie looking for a new family, which he kind of gets here, and then you get to the Christopher Eccleston stuff, and even that's a little weird.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie.
Yeah.
But she, at least at this point in the movie, is just very pragmatic and like, no, I'm just using these people. Like this, if I think this is gonna help me survive, yeah, I'll stick around.
She's all about self-preservation, and then she starts to form a connection with these people, which, kind of to your point, John, maybe leads to her making some dumb decisions.
Yeah, we'll
But,
get there when we get there. I don't remember her doing a lot of dumb stuff. I just have issues with. I just don't think she gets a lot to do in the third act. That's my problem with it.
So
yeah,
many.
she's kind of just reduced to a damsel at that point.
Yeah. I love scenes like this. Just the practicality of surviving an apocalypse, like how this guy's trying to collect water, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck, man, it hasn't rained in over a week. When? Does London stop raining now?"
One of the
This is
most interesting ideas I think in this movie that I wish we explored more, and I don't feel from what I remember the sequel doesn't take advantage of, is this isn't a worldwide epidemic. This is specifically isolated to England.
right. Also, one thing that's really funny, I think obviously there are tons of props here. They're just bringing in whatever they can get. There's got to be some people behind the scenes not getting the memo of what's going on in the scene because there's like some laundry baskets there with holes all around them. It's like it's not
Yeah,
going to collect
I
any
can
water.
see.
This one
I
catch
can.
water.
I can see them. Yeah.
Brendan Gleeson just left them there. He intended to do something else with them.
I just love the idea that like Gleason's character's just like brain damaged. He's like, yeah, this laundry basket with holes that'll catch the water.
That'll catch the water.
Okay, so
Oh.
this is the biggest question I have because this is a repeating loop. I'm assuming he's done this before. Is this the first time he's hearing this, or is just now we have to go? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think they just know we're running out of time. We don't have enough resources to survive in this apartment forever. And to the movie's credit, like this is a military broadcast. Like it sounds legit. Like it's not just our random voice that they're hearing. And remember, we're like a month into an apocalypse. So this is definitely yeah, we probably shouldn't pass this up.
Yeah.
Like this father and his daughter, they've been held up in their apartment for the whole time, and they've now reached that point of, oh, we can't keep waiting for things to get fixed and get better because that's not happening.
He just answered it. It's we can't do this on our own. We need the two of you. This is
Right.
where I think Selena starts to make some dumb decisions. You are a survivalist. For all you know, this could be a trap. I'd be like, no, y'all are on your own.
Yeah, but I don't think she has strong enough reason yet to think that this is a trap. I mean, she's skeptical.
Yeah, and she needs to be convinced to go with them. She's like,
Yeah.
well, what if we die? It'll be safer to just stay here.
Yeah, like they do argue about it.
Yeah, but I don't understand why she gives in and goes. Like she's made it clear she doesn't care about these people.
Well, what's her other option?
But I think that
She's
she
clearly
actually
fine
does.
being on her own.
She
Well,
grows
she's
to care
another
about
guy.
these people. I think that deep down inside, she wants the same thing Jim does, which is human connection.
But that's what I'm saying is she's starting to care again, so she's making sloppier decisions.
But I think maybe that's
a bad thing.
I mean,
maybe that's kind of
with what happens, it kind of is a bad thing.
Yeah, we know as audience members, like with hindsight, oh, yep, that was a bad idea. But with their resources and information, you get it.
I don't
You
buy.
gotta take a shot.
I don't buy somebody that's been putting on this cold-hearted exterior for a month suddenly at the drop of a hat goes to the first like sign of civilization she can get.
I disagree.
I've never been in this situation. I don't know how I would.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'd react either, and maybe this is what what anyone would do. It just, I feel like the Selena from that killed her partner wouldn't be making this decision.
Well, because that is, but I think that is a front That's
Mhm.
like
She's still a human being.
yeah, that's a strategic front that she needs to put on so she can survive.
Okay, so then she's
Right.
gonna drop her any strategic thinking
She's
the
dropping,
minute she
but she's
can.
dropping it because this is like the first real family she's had in months
And
or
No,
days,
what was
whatever.
Mark?
he was a partner.
Yeah, and she
Um,
killed him on the drop of a hat. You expect me to believe that she's gonna move on from that, care about these people so much that she's willing to chase them, follow them on a
but
goose chase?
it's not a goose chase, though. It sounds legit. It's the
Okay, but it's
military.
also a recording. For all they know, the military could be dead.
They they talk about that. Like she knows it's a risk.
I
But
understand that.
what's her other option? Just staying in the apartment by herself?
Go off on your own like you were before. You were doing
She
fine.
wasn't alone. She had a partner.
I also think that she
She never
feels
wants to be
close.
alone.
I think that she feels closer to Jim and then grows closer to
Right.
like Hannah and Brendan Gleeson than she ever was with the other guy.
Yeah, I think and I think she latches on even harder to Jim once she's had to kill her other friend. Because now this is all
Yeah.
she has. I love the setup of the scene of like all the rats running. It's like, yep, that means infected are coming.
Uh-oh.
And
This
this
scene's-
is when I die because I could not change a tire
This-
in 30 seconds.
This
This
is
is-
one of those like I don't understand the time slide here.
This is one of the most tense scenes in the movie.
No, it is, but like, how fast are they going? Like, what's the distance here?
Eh.
Frank. Oh god, I love that shot of just the red light on his face. It's so good. This is a goofy shot. I wonder if it goes on too long. Where very quickly they give up and are like, ah. Oh well. Maybe we should have cut the shot earlier.
They don't have anything to be mad about anymore. All right, so this scene coming up here, I know it's not a mall, but I do think that this is an intentional nod towards Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, and this is where I'm gonna agree with John and say I don't buy Selena's behavior here. Where this is an important scene for their humanity. It's a real bonding for them moment for them, like shopping. I don't buy her just throwing cans into shopping carts and making noise. I think she's way more quiet and careful during it. This is a scene where I think she's inconsistent.
Remember Rice Krispies?
I like
Well,
it.
Robert,
I like it
you
in
know what we
theory,
have to
though.
complain about this? All the product placement. How dare they have products in there?
I'm so glad this isn't an IHOP.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's not a survivalist anymore. She's just like a wine mom going to the grocery store.
Well, and I think that's
Yeah, I
like
mean,
what
she's-
they're going for, but I think it's just dialed up too much.
But I think
Tyler,
she's doing this to survive, and I don't know, she's just having fun with her new friends.
She's
Okay,
having fun, but
Noah, would you, if you're this person, or you have this person's personality, which is very no nonsense, and that's not a front.
Yeah.
She is a no nonsense person who has struggled and fought to survive. Would you, at a drop of a hat, just start throwing things very loudly into a metal tin with no thoughts to survival whatsoever?
they're
I don't
really
know.
assuming that they're safe here.
Yeah.
Again, I
Tyler, I
like
think
the
I'm
scene well
gonna.
enough.
Tyler says, I think I'm gonna go see Ballerina. Noah or Robert, have you seen it? And also, John, what did you think of Bloodlines? I mean, if you saw my Letterboxd review, I loved Bloodlines. It's good.
Hell yeah.
And have you guys
I
read
have-
the Walking Dead comic? I have, and
have.
Robert and I really want to do something on that at some point.
I have not read the Walking Dead comic yet. I really want to, though. And I haven't seen Ballerina. I don't know if I'm gonna. I love the John Wick movies,
Noah
but I
hates
just
women. It's confirmed.
No, I just could not care less about spin-offs for John Wick.
Yeah, because it's got a woman in it. If it didn't have a woman, you'd be excited.
No, I like Ana de Armas.
I have heard the movie's pretty fun. I'll check it out at some point.
Noah was. I remember when it was announced. Noah was like outraged. It was very strange.
You got
Stop
the
trying to
rage
make
virus.
me an anti-woke guy.
So to you guys' point, this also feels like a Dawn of the Dead reference or like tribute.
Yeah.
This is the scene where they stop to fuel up the plane.
Yes.
Just not as funny.
And there's gonna be a child that our protagonist has to kill. A lot like Dawn of the Dead.
Funny
That
how
has
this
one of my favorite-
non-zombie movie has reverence for zombie movies.
What kind of hoodie is that? Is that like a kangaroo pouch in the front? What am I looking at? What kind of jacket are you
Oh.
wearing, Killian?
A silly one.
No, what's even your point there? Movies have reference for movies of other genres all the time.
I know, but this is really looking at zombie movies.
It is. And what I was
Especially
trying,
Romero.
what I like about how this movie explores rage, it's this idea or this feeling that like inherently isn't good or bad. It's just something we all have. It just exists. The question is how we manage it and how we use it. Rage is just a big scene this whole movie, and this is a scene where now that he's had a few days in this world and has kind of come to terms with all this loss, this is the first time we see his rage kind of let out. This is his first time where he gets to get his hands dirty, and again, he's not being a survivalist here. He wants to punish something, because he's got this anger he's got to get out, and then that's going to be really important for the climax of this movie.
You know what this movie needed, Robert? The rage to be selective, and if you're a good person, you get superpowers, and if you're a bad person, you turn into a hideous monster.
Yes. Let it flow through you, Killian. And then again, though, my question is,
John laughs at child murder.
The way that he shot, he just turned around and whacked him in the face with a baseball bat. It's great.
And then, but again, my question is, put on a mask, wrap something around your mouth.
Yeah,
What are you
no,
doing?
they all become really stupid at a certain point and stop protecting their face.
No, that's like my main like plot hole issue with this movie. We're just real inconsistent,
Well, and it's
inconvenient when
weird
people get infected and when they don't.
because they do that, but then they also call attention to it by having the one guy be unprotected, and that's how he gets infected.
And that's a scene where I buy it. You know, his guard's down. They're not in the middle of a fight. But there are scenes later where I'm like, put on a mask, put on something, cover your face.
Do you think this movie predicted 2020 where no one wore a mask?
Yeah, it has a whole new,
You know what?
new vibe now.
I'm kind of interested to see if the new movie touches on any of that, just because that's happened since these movies have come out.
I remember the early like COVID memes of just all like those empty streets and areas where people are like, shit, this looks like 28 days later.
Also, I mean, I don't know how far they're going to go with this, but just with the theme of rage, I'm interested to see how they update that a bit, just with how rage has been like become so much a part of like internet culture.
Zombie tweet.
Yeah.
I really hope they don't do any of that.
I'm open to it if it's done well.
I just don't trust that it will be.
Well, I mean, it's
I have faith in these guys.
Particularly in this genre. Like there's always social commentary going on. I mean, that goes all the way back to Night of the Living Dead, and then throughout Romero's trilogy, and then his later movies where he leans too hard into the social commentary.
Yeah.
No, one thing that I really love about this movie is this is as like reflective and as much of a time capsule for the culture and attitudes of the time as Night of the Living Dead was for 1968. You know, this is a post 9/11 movie through and through. um this
Yes.
this is such a specific early 2000s like angry vibe to it.
Yes.
Like how Night of the Living Dead is a very angry movie. And also, Noah, one thing we've talked about before, though, with like the difference between like zombies or zombies or infected, whatever you want to call them. One thing we never talk about is how Romero invents the modern flesh-eating zombie with the Night of the Living Dead in 1968. He also invents this trope with the crazies just a few years later. This owes as much to the
Oh
crazies
yeah.
as it does Night of the Living Dead.
Does
You know, I've still
Um,
never seen the Crazies, so
and you
the
should.
remake is better.
I should. Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think so. I like both.
Interesting.
The original The Crazies is one of the most aggressive downer movies I've ever seen.
And that's a lot about rage, like this is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's also more government conspiracy.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some of that in this movie too, though.
right, but it's not. This is a more focused on rage because the virus makes you angry, and that it's in the title. It just makes you crazy.
Mhm. But both you could say it's like you lose your inhibitions and self
And
control
this is and that
and
movie is
become more
much more
primal.
focused on the government.
Mhm.
A lot of Dutch angles in this movie too. It's something I picked
Mhm.
up on.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do with it. Just that was just an observation. It's like Thor.
Also, okay, I'm not a medicine expert, but if she's medically putting herself to sleep, is she gonna be able to wake up on the drop of a hat like that?
It depends on how much you're taking.
I think that's I don't think we actually touched on that, but yeah, I think that's another dimension to her character too. Is she's someone that's constantly taking, pills so she doesn't feel anything, even though I do think deep down inside
Mhm.
she desperately wants to feel connection to other people.
Right.
This is just another way of her coping with the situation.
And what I like about Brendan Gleeson's character, he's the pure soul, like, oh, you're too good for this world, like you're not gonna last. Like he's still like trying to kind of preserve his daughter's innocence and is the most hopeful of the group. He's not like even though he's lost his wife,
No,
he's
that's my
not like
favorite thing
that
about Jim
jaded
is he
yet.
wakes up in this universe and instantly goes, "Well, it's all fucked."
This is a great nightmare sequence. It's just very subtle and just puts you in his head.
This is his biggest fear is
Just waking up
waking up
alone again.
again and being alone
Well, and
again.
something that's interesting in the dialogue is he specifically calls for Frank and Hannah, but he never
The,
calls for Sienna or Selena.
I think he does.
No,
I have to.
he kept saying Frank and Hannah.
Okay.
He never says Selena.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that
just called him dad.
I love that bit because he's like half asleep. He's not
Yeah.
completely lucid and just saying, "Oh, thanks, Dad." Like that's such a nice. It's a
Mhm.
very sad human moment.
Yeah.
I love this create. It's just a really good small collection of actors. For the most part.
I don't think the girl's as bad as you guys do. I think she's fine.
There's
Like,
some moments.
there's a bit near the end where she has to act like drugged up and loopy and like monosyllabic, and I'm like, that's how you've been acting this whole movie. There's not much difference in how she talks. But yeah, I don't think she's horrible or anything.
And let me reiterate, we don't want to bully a kid.
Unless you're Robert, he hates kids.
That's fine. This movie's over 20 years old.
That's right.
Shut up. No, it's not. It came out yesterday.
On the road again. Why is the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car? Is this a plot hole?
Why are they driving on the wrong side of the road? For backwards
Okay,
people.
so this is a question. Where's cars?
Mhm.
Like, this is the most
Yes.
convenient post-apocalyptic road I've ever seen.
Well, it's because we can't afford to rent and park a bunch of cars on this street. We're doing the best we got, man.
Do you guys think it's a bit out of character for Selena to be playing with Hannah here, or is it the same thing that you guys were talking about with the scene in the store?
No, this doesn't bother me because they've now known each other for a bit, and she immediately has kind of this older sister energy around Hannah. That stuff I buy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
My
I
problem
mean,
with
Because
well,
I just thought it was a similar kind of thing.
no, to be clear, my problem with the grocery store scene is I'm not convinced enough that they're as sure as they are that that location is safe. And I'm like,
Okay.
you should
yeah,
be
I
more
mean,
quiet.
at
There
least
could be
here, like,
there
they could be
somebody
sure
in
that
there.
they're safe, or at least they can outdrive an infected.
Okay,
Yeah,
now that all right.
now they're a lot more comfortable.
That's fair, actually. Yeah.
Because we had just seen in the previous scene, like Jim lights up a candle, and that light attracts an infected from way down the street to jump through the window and jump him. Uh, you know, I'm not gonna buy a couple scenes later that she's just throwing loud cans into shopping carts in the
Okay,
middle
yeah,
of
fair
a
enough.
store. That's my issue
Alex
with it.
Garland, you
All right.
hack.
Alex Garland, ooh.
Yeah, but where I think they are consistent with her is when you get to this scene and it doesn't look safe. She's the first one to be like, "Yeah, nope, let's go. This isn't. Let's get
Yeah.
out of here." She is the first one to kind of panic and say, "Yeah, I don't like this."
Yeah, because I do think that she's characterized pretty consistently throughout the movie. Um, I do see. I get what you were saying though with that other scene.
Hmm. Yeah, I like her a lot. It's really just the third act where my issue is I just don't think she gets enough to do.
Robert was just really rooting for those military guys to do what they wanted to do.
Oh God.
We're not even there yet.
No, I don't know if you have this because you're the other Doctor Who guy. It's always weird
Yeah.
when I see Eccleston show up in this and he's blonde.
Yeah, I mean it's like a slight adjustment, but it's like yeah, it's weird first seeing him and it's like, oh yeah, he's blonde. Other than that, he just does look like the Ninth Doctor to me.
I don't understand. They're not here. But uh, we should do some Walking Dead stuff at some soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I don't, at least the comic. I don't know if I have it in me to sit through that show right now. But Tyler says I think you have it wrong. Seem to be driving fine by me. No, they were driving on the wrong
No.
side of the road.
Yeah, and this is where Frank's anger comes out, and it's understandable because this is all he had. It was like their next bit of
Yeah.
hope. so he's the one who's like holding on to it, trying to find something, and everyone else is like, "Yeah, we gotta go."
There's a scene and something else that reminds me a lot of this, but now I can't think of what it is.
Is it The Walking Dead?
It might be.
I was just thinking, it's not the
Oh,
same scene,
you
but
know,
when they get
no,
to the
you know what this is?
CDC,
Yeah, it is. That is what it is. Which is hilarious because I don't know if you remember this or know this. That's invented for the show.
yeah,
No, I don't know if you knew that. That whole like
I did
thing of the
not.
CDC, that's all invented for the show.
Oh, okay.
In the comics, they go straight from the campground to Herschel's farm. I
mhm.
think. Is that
Basically, yeah. There's somewhere they stop in between, but like it's very brief.
okay? So
Uh,
I really like this moment, but I do have a question. Is it contrived that he decides now of all times to go see what the bird is crowing at?
it's pecking out a body, and that's bothering him. Because he's
Yeah,
saying
just
like
leave it
leave it.
alone.
You know,
Just leave it alone. Like,
it's a person. It's a dead person. Like that. It bothers him. Um, I get it. Uh, that's a great line when he says, "Sorry, I lost my temper," and then he so sells this transformation.
he's so good.
Um, I think this is the best scene of the movie, and Selena and this consent, she's
Maybe
the one
like
who's
kill him.
saying, "Hey, kill him." But the reason why she's not killing him is because she's holding Hannah back. She can't do anything right now. So,
And he
and
has the
then
weapon.
yeah, he has a weapon, and then of course Jim freezes. He can't do it, but at least the military guys save the day. Happy ending. They're safe now. It's all gonna be fine.
But you know, at least
Oh
he
yeah.
got that crow to stop pecking at that dead body. That's what's important.
He did, yeah. But John, he's really angry, and his anger leads to his downfall. It's like a theme or something.
Like, I like the scene. I think you could have contrived a better reason for him to go look at the crow than, oh, it's pecking at a dead body.
No, I think it's perfect. It's like fuck off. That's a human being. He's angry and he has to lash out at something. Noah, thoughts? I've got no issues with that scene.
I mean, I never actually thought about it like that, but that is like consistent with the theme. I don't know. I see what John's saying though. Like, I guess it feels contrived, but I don't really have a problem with it. My thing in that scene, though, I found his death to be like maybe the saddest, like most soul
Mhm.
crushing part of this movie.
Yeah, and you know it's
'Cause I
coming.
really,
No,
yeah,
because
I really love his character.
he's the only character that dies that you get any time like to care about. Like, I don't give a shit about whatever her partner's name is when he dies.
Right.
Although, what
Yeah.
slightly ruins the scene for me is, I feel like his daughter should be a little more emotional seeing her dad get gunned down.
Well,
Yeah,
no, you see,
she's yelling.
Noah, it's thematically important, so therefore everything around it is fine.
Uh,
But I also don't think it's out of character for him to be bothered by something like that. The bird pecking at the body is what attracts him over there and gets him to look up in the first place.
I don't know. I feel like he should be smarter than that. Like, if it's pecking at a body, stay away from it.
He's
it's like
just
the
angry.
third. It's like the third time we've seen Oppenheimer's ass in this movie.
You know, I still
I've
haven't
been
seen
keeping
that
count.
movie. Noah's like, there's not enough shots of Oppenheimer's ass in this movie. Zero
We
out of
need more
10.
ass, please.
And this is something that's interesting because like at the time, this is a really feels like a really fresh, unique idea. And now I've just seen this done to death, where it's like, oh, the military aren't the saviors; they're kind of the bad guys. But
Are
I
you
have to like put myself back in that mind state of like of when this came out. Like, oh wait, no, this was like horrifying.
are you saying the humans are the real monsters? Oh my
Oh my
god.
god. Robert, we are the Walking Dead.
Yeah. And yeah, I was gonna say that's usually themes we explore in a lot of zombie media,
It's true.
um, which is why I think this is a zombie movie, personally.
But it's such a fresh take on that, though. It's not because John. I don't know if you, at least rewatching this, like obviously I knew where it was going, but it's so coded. Like these guys are going to be cannibals. Like, did you have that ever have that thought watching this movie?
No, because when I first watched this, I hadn't seen this done like this yet.
Okay,
If I
because we're
watch
going
this
to
for the
do a lot
first
of
time
cooking.
now, if I watch this for the first time like now, I'd be like, oh, they're gonna be cannibals. Like the oh, speaking of cannibals, Robert, we need to get back to the Telltale Walking Dead too.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to show Noah that first season at some point. So good.
I should probably play it at some point.
Yeah,
It's
but the
great.
problem is I know you won't.
No, I play video games
I
once in a
think you
while.
do. I don't think you do.
Once in a blue moon, it happens.
Don't tell me it didn't. It
Um,
happened. I didn't see it happen. Well, you can stream it for the channel, Noah.
might be a fun change of pace to have me stream a game sometime. I don't know.
And I can show you
There's
how to do
also
it.
there's also like a really interesting intimacy between Cillian Murphy's character and Christopher Eccleston's character that makes you wonder if there's something else going on there.
There's
Because remember, when he talks about wanting to bring women in, it's for the other men. It's not for himself. Sorry,
Okay,
you were saying?
I never picked up on that.
I find his psychology very interesting, where he immediately takes to Cillian Murphy because he's a guy,
Yeah.
but you can see he views women in a very different, specific, outdated way.
And then here we have the one guy wearing an apron. You know, he's playing the mom, the cook here for this group. Immediately,
Mhm.
like again, I'm just like, oh, I'm getting Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. You know, it's a group of dudes.
Which is one thing I think is interesting about this movie is this part thematically almost feels like a different movie because now we're talking
Mhm.
about different things. I wish some of this had been in the larger movie because I mean, granted, I am going off of some old memories here, but I don't know what they're saying here to connect with the rage and everything.
I think there's rage. Well, there's
Uh,
definitely rage against women
but
explored
also
with some of
because
these guys.
Tyler mentioned, could the changing process kill you and then resurrect you? I'm gonna double down and say no, it doesn't, because we saw it with Mad Eye Moody. I forget his name, Frank. He did not die. He just changed. He was
He
still
did change.
alive.
Yeah,
Ergo, not zombie.
I just personally don't think that
Zombie adjacent.
I personally don't think that the dying and then turning is such an integral rule to the
Name
genre.
one other
Yes,
zombie movie where they're alive.
but I don't think Noah is seeing as much as like a stark difference as you are. It's like you're still changing into something else, even if the
Someone
specifics are different.
else.
But this is a scene where it's a great scene where they show him one
Mhm.
of his buddies who got infected and is chained up, and then I'm like, why isn't Christopher Eccleston wearing a mask? He gets
Uh,
face to face with the guy
Robert,
who then spits up.
you've seen the '04 Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
There's a scene a lot like this in that, where the security guard zombie is like stuck in the fountain.
I also think to mention real quickly that that scene of the chained up zombie there is a pretty clear nod to Bub from Day of the Dead.
Yes, we have a chained up infected that we're studying
Mhm.
and also
Well,
kind of
this
tormenting.
third act, at least with the human stuff, has a lot in common with Day.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I this is the scene where I'm talking about where if I hadn't seen this movie before and was watching it now, I'd be thinking, oh, they're cannibals. Like this is so Texas Chainsaw Massacre
It
with
does
this
have
dinner
that.
table and the candles, and it's like, oh, they're cannibals. They're not.
Yeah,
But it's very coded like that.
I actually didn't think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre here, but that's actually a good call.
And then again, it's the gender politics they discuss here are interesting, where they're like, "Oh, we're all shit cooks." Hey, late, and they don't even talk to the older girl. They talk to Hannah, like the teenager, and are like, "Oh, so you could cook, right? Because you're female. That'll help." Like they just
Yeah.
assume that. Just the ways we explore sexism here, I think, are interesting. It's
To be fair to this guy, I don't know if you guys have ever cooked eggs. Unless you're like frying them, eggs are really fucking hard to make.
Yep.
Especially scrambled eggs, which are like my favorite. I never make them because I suck at it.
I've never made scrambled eggs. I usually only do fried eggs because they're easy, like you said.
Yeah. That's what I had for dinner is like frozen sausage patties and fried eggs because that's the only kind of egg I know how to make.
Yeah, yeah. You just crack them and then they're done.
Yeah. Anytime I want scrambled eggs, I'll just like go to my mom and be like, "Can you make these for me? Because I don't know how to do it."
Now, John, to your point earlier about seeing this as like two different movies and how not sure how they connect. What I like about what we're talking about here, though, with our villain and their motivation, isn't like part of part of his motivation is returning things to normalcy, and like what does that even mean anymore? But to them, normalcy is, well, we got to get back to making babies and ladies cooking for us. That's kind of the subtle commentary we're
Yeah,
exploring, where we can't just. It's not enough to just like make do with the situation and figure out how to evolve. It's always, well, how do we get back to how things were? I mean, we saw this in real life with COVID. It wasn't how do we move forward and deal with this. It's how do we get back to how things were before that. And it's like you can't. Like the world has fundamentally changed now.
yeah.
These guys
Noah,
are still holding on to the past.
you're right. Like, because this is so close to Doctor Who's comeback, it's kind of eerie when they're just like focusing on his face. How much I just see the Ninth Doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Because
Doctor, what are you doing? What are you doing?
what are you doing? Why are you sexist? Um, I Eccleston's a really interesting actor though, because pretty much everything else I've seen him in outside of Doctor Who and Thor: The Dark World has been like a darker kind
Yeah.
of character.
Yeah, I always see him as villains. This scene is
I
awesome.
mean,
I
even in
love.
Thor, he's the villain. It's just he's not interesting.
I
He
just
doesn't
mean
get
that
anything to do.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean like in
He
something like this, that's
exists.
a little more mature and like morally
I
gray.
Okay, this is just a me thing, and this does not affect my opinion of the movie whatsoever. I do kind of wish he was allowed to ham it up just a little bit more. Give me a like, this is my monkey farm now Frankenstein scene. Give me something like that.
I don't know if if this movie calls for that though.
Is
Yeah.
like I said, this doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie whatsoever. But that
Okay.
would have been awesome. I just want to see Eccleston get that moment.
Okay. I love this scene, but also we just saw like guts and shit just get like thrown on them like really
Yeah,
closely. Put on fucking masks.
they should
No,
be
yeah,
dead,
they should all
or they
be
should be
infected.
infected. Yeah,
It's an awesome scene though. I love the setup of the floodlights going off and all the mines they have planted that blow a bunch up and then they shoot the rest. Like it's a really cool setup for how they're fortifying it.
Well, especially because we're gonna end this like we do every other zombie movie. They beat the bad guys by just flooding it with infected.
Yep, because it's a zombie movie.
It's not, but okay.
Ooh.
And this is oh fuck, they're bad. And this is again, it's some of these guys are just really horny and angry.
That's what I'm saying though. No, as you say, it doesn't fit. But these like grunts are basically cartoon villains.
Mm,
Oh, like some are worse than others. Like there's like the token like really bad guy, and of course this is
yeah,
the scene where they try to lull you into thinking, oh no, Christopher Eccleston's cool. He doesn't. condone this. And then he takes Killing Murphy aside and is like, okay, bro, this is actually what's going on. You're a dude, like you're cool with it, right? Like again, he's weirdly trusting, but not I think in a bad way, like you said, Noah, just the way he so quickly takes to him.
Yeah.
No, I think there's something
It's-
interesting that he automatically assumes that the guy from this group is going to go along with their plans.
Because he's
Mhm.
another guy, and surely he wants to return to how things were, just like
Yeah.
the rest of them.
Because this now that we're at this part of the movie, the first time I watched this really surprised me. This turn it takes of yeah, we use that message to attract people because we specifically wanted women. Because
Yeah.
we're bored, we're a bunch of dudes, and we want women. But it's not just for the sex stuff. It's also like, well, they can also cook and clean. The way it was in the old days. Like that. That is entirely how
This
these guys see women. It's just reproduction and cooking and cleaning.
I
Yeah.
love the comic that I have that, like I said, branches between days and weeks. What I really want though is a comic that explores the 28 days before Jim wakes up. Like, what is actually left of the government?
That would be
How did
fascinating.
everyone get infected?
Yeah. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4.
You could just make it a mini series and call each issue like a
Mhm.
day.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about earlier too, where this wasn't like Eccleston's character's idea for himself. He's like, well, one of my guys got real low and almost took his own life because he's lonely. So I'm doing this for my men. I don't think Eccleston's character is planning to, you know, um,
Yeah.
which is why I find just the relationship between these two so interesting.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is Eccleston's character has, I think, a lot of depth and interest. All of his men are stereotypical grunts with no depth to them.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that could just be a screen time thing. I don't know. Doesn't bother me, but I get it.
Bother me,
And
but if the grunts are going to be a
yeah,
little cartoony, let him ham it up a little bit.
I still like his performance. It's very subtle and
I
evil,
do.
but I think it works. And this is the part where I'm like, Killian, stop shouting. Just run.
You're gonna alert some attention.
And I also like though that there's at least one decent human being here, who they're gonna turn on, who's not into this plan.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have been screaming at the top of your lungs, idiot. And Noah, have you
Join
seen
me.
28 Weeks Later at all?
No.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting watch because I think that kind of fucks with the lore in some ways.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be joining you guys for that one.
Yeah, you are. You told me you were.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
John the Gaslighter.
Come on, Noah. What are you doing?
Did I
He,
did I actually?
he
Because
needs he needs to go to bed. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
Noah, you bastard.
We're professional. I'm gonna make a point to watch that movie before I see the new one, even though it might not be essential. But I'm not
And
gonna be able to watch it tonight. Sorry.
now this is a pop culture reference that might be lost on some younger viewers. He's talking about a show called The Simpsons. I don't know if that's still on, but it was really big in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's that show with
Um,
Peter Griffin. I don't know
mhm.
if you've seen that.
Yeah, it was trash.
Oh, hey, that's a beloved show, John. You can't say
Yeah,
that.
John, don't shit on The Simpsons. What's wrong? Why say
It's
that?
got Brian and Stewie, like the whole cast.
Cleveland.
Cleveland, that's my favorite character.
If I could go back in time and
This
remove
is
one show from history, it would be Family Guy, so I never have to fucking hear about it again.
this is like the one scene of the movie though we really talk about, at least if what this guy is saying is correct, of the rest of the world is doing fine, we're fucked. About
I mean,
England specifically being quarantined. Like
this
this is
is
the
the
one scene where
tricky
we
thing,
really talk
right?
about that.
Because if the sequel is anything to go by on, that is true.
Mhm.
Because I assume you've watched Weeks Later at this point.
Yeah, I did watch it ahead of time. And now we've become monsters.
Now we've become 28 days later.
28 days later dies tonight.
The infected die tonight.
My buddy is watching the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I just replied, "I'm sorry."
No.
Noah, you know we're gonna have to do a commentary on that at some point.
We already did.
It didn't work. It doesn't count.
Yeah, but I'm not watching that shit again.
Oh, you will.
You can watch it with Robert.
I'm gonna wait till you're there.
Nope, I'm gonna be sick on that night. I'm gonna be infected with rage.
Uh, and Robert, another thing that that I think is heavily inspired specifically by the military stuff in this is The Last of Us with like the
Yeah.
QZs.
And there's a lot of Last of Us, and weeks later, we'll get to it when we get to that commentary that I was not expecting.
Yeah. The best thing I can say about Weeks Later, we'll talk about it, is I think it has an incredible opening.
It has a great opening, yeah. Oh fuck!
Oh shit. Hey, do you guys think the third movie in this 28 Years Later trilogy is going to be called 28 Years Later Ends?
Yeah.
I love this shot. Him just playing dead and getting up in the bodies.
That's really smart.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just led to believe, I'm supposed to believe that all of those people were never infected.
Hmm.
So, I love the way he pops up there too, like, huh? Is it clear?
Yes, it's great. No, there is what I like about this third act. It does have kind of a weirdly like a messed up fairy tale kind of classic quality to it. It's it becomes a storming the castle movie. It's one man alone, but betrayed by the country he loves, and he's got to go. Like you said, Noah, rescue the damsel, which I'm fine with riffing on. It's just a more messed up adult version of that. I still think you can
Is
give
it
her
really a
more to do than
riff
she
though?
gets.
That's just what it is. It's not parodying or
Hmm.
riffing on it. Just that's what it turns into.
Yeah, I think it's just the explicit stuff going on is just more at the foreground is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It's like the fairy tale thing, but more adult.
This
Right.
the
Yeah.
his plan here is the not quite as good version of the plan in Day of the Dead, where that guy just lays on the thing and summons the zombies, and as they're eating him, drops the elevator down and floods the base with zombies. That is, I think, the single most disturbing death in that movie. Not because it's overly graphic, just the idea of letting yourself being eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the
I
scene where it's like, oh my god,
Hey,
I
it's
didn't think
this is
about
raining.
fucked
that
up.
though, John. I guess there's a lot of day in this third act.
Yeah, I mean, that's inherent when your villains are military.
True.
One thing I will give
Um,
this movie a lot of credit for, like I said, I don't love this movie. I think it's really good. Is for how cheap this is, it's not a like one room drama.
Right.
yeah, it
There's a
feels
really
big.
big scope to this movie.
It somehow feels big
Which,
and
funnily
scrappy at the
enough, from
same
what I
time.
remember, 28 Weeks Later loses.
Um,
From memory. It's been a long
yeah,
time.
it's complicated.
And I'm with you, Robert. I don't think that she has a lot to do here. She kind of just.
What do you mean?
I mean,
She just kissed that guy. That was
she's able to
very
convince
vital
this
to the
guy.
plot of this movie.
Yeah, but then he immediately runs back in.
Yeah, the scene's weirdly cut short. I mean, it is like a really fucked up, sad moment where she she gives offers to give she tries to give Hannah pills, and Hannah's like, are you trying to kill me? And she's like, no, I'm trying to make you not care. Like, that's worse Like, no, this is gonna
Yeah.
happen to you. I'm just trying to help ease
Well,
the
and that's
pain.
because that's
so
what
fucked
she
up.
does. That's all she knows how to cope with it.
That, like I said, this stuff really surprised me the first time I watched this movie. I was like, oh, we're going there.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
again,
what
it's
else is in her like? I think it's a good plan. Like, what else is she supposed to do?
right. Yeah. No, that's her only option. And
So
again,
my question is, I know they're bad guys. They care, like, so she'll be
they're
out of
really
it.
horny. They're angry. They're pent up.
Yeah, they have a thing called
They should
there's something called sexually frustrated.
they should go back and retroactively add subtitles to each of these movies to make it match with Bone Temple. This one can be Attack of the Gooners.
I love the look they go with for Cillian Murphy for this third act, where he's shirtless. He looks so, again, feral.
Yeah.
He has to become one of them. It's
Mhm.
really cool. Just
Robert,
like the
would you
rain
say
stuff here.
would you say he went to an island and became something else, someone else?
Yes.
I love the quick shots of him running past the camera because that also makes me think of how he did to be Batman. It's like, yeah, he's got Batman here.
Where are you? Here. He's like hanging upside down. I love that shot of it when the camera just pans past his face
when
and
it
he's
goes
dead
across.
eyes.
Is it a
Yeah.
So
little
good.
too movie logic that a guy that was a bike courier and just woke up a few days ago can now outmaneuver an entire platoon of military soldiers?
Yes. It's a movie thing, but I could roll with it. Although, and to be fair, it's like 8 guys. It's not, an army.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
it also doesn't ruin the movie. It's just it's all these little things that add up. And like, yeah, he's good.
it's so cool though. But I think including Christopher Eccleston's character, I think it's like 9 guys total.
Yeah, and apparently they're all idiots and really bad at their jobs. I do love that quick cut from whacking him in the head to Christopher Eccleston. That's very slasher Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This has something in common with a Friday the 13th movie. Does that mean it's a slasher movie?
Sure.
Yeah.
But also, this has a lot of things in common with zombie movies, as we've discussed in great detail. Like a lot of things.
Except for the zombies, which is the most important part.
Well, they're pretty close to zombies.
Tyler says should have called 28 years later the Bone Temple. 28 years and 28 minutes later? Is that the whole trilogy you're saying? 28 minutes later. That's the big finale.
Hey, look, it's raining. Finally.
We've also
Finally.
lost some of that like homemade look. Now it's just a movie.
I still kind of see it. I guess there's a slightly more of a production value with the mansion.
Uh, I love this bit where he's gonna free the
Bug.
infected. Yeah, like we see in zombie movies. And then the girls and the dresses again gives it that fairy tale flair to it. Like the mood here is just so unsettling.
This is just a me thing, but that shot with the zombie that's chained up, the rain looks like video game rain, where it's like not being properly rendered in. You know what I'm talking about? It's really funny. But I also
Well, I
think
think
that zombie is gonna have my favorite shot of the movie. I sent that note to
Oh,
Dylan
yeah.
again, where it's just like he's standing in the window going,
The funniest part about that is how the sound cuts out and it's just the shot.
This is the part I'm talking about where Hannah's now drugged and her performance
Yeah,
isn't that different
it's the
from
same.
what it was
But
in the
is
first
she?
half.
They stopped her from being drugged, didn't they?
That's what's confusing. Is she definitely is like I feel like some of these scenes might be chopped up a little, even when they run in, like that happens kind of abruptly.
That's
But
what
no,
I
they
have that with a
mentioned that
lot
she
of
is
things in this
drugged
movie
now.
where I can't see what the hell's happening.
I think it's way worse than the next movie.
We'll see. I don't remember the next movie that much. All I remember is that opening scene, and also the one guy that
Yeah, I love it.
See, this is the part of the movie where I'm like wanting Selena to kick ass more, and instead they're just kind of running through the
Yeah,
whole place. Uh,
um
it surprised me. It's weird that we don't let her kill one of these guys. Like, I want to see her get that revenge. Like, let her kill one of them.
she should have killed the asshole guy.
Definitely. Although the asshole guy getting vomited on and turning, like, that is really cool and satisfying. And the other guy just running scared.
Yeah,
Like, this is
that's a
some
funny
good
shot.
shit.
um
You soppy.
But like, so I do love just the mood and setting here, and I love these shots of like the infected guys just on their own, just looking around, like, where are people?
Need something to be mad at. I
Oh
did
my
just.
god, he pulled a velociraptor on him. Clever girl. Ah,
Ah,
they attack from the sides, Noah.
yeah. Um, I did just think of this that it is kind of cool how this movie has, at least from what I can tell, one reference to each of the original Romero
Yeah,
trilogy.
yeah, definitely.
Because you got that moment at the beginning that's kind of reminiscent of night, and then day, dawn, and then day.
Yeah, these are all like just different tropes and plot beats kind of mixed together in a different way from Danny Boyle here, and it feels really fresh. Like the motivation of these guys is really surprising and dark,
Yeah.
and definitely stuff we've seen in more sense.
yeah.
Hmm.
And like I just love how feral Cillian Murphy gets with his performance. But not in a he's turning to the dark side kind of way. It's just him.
No, I
It's
mean
just him using his rage.
now
He's
he's just a
determined.
movie character.
Well, he's at an arc. He's changed.
Interesting though how I don't mean to bring the argument of this scene back up, but when Brendan Gleeson dies, you could read that as him giving into his rage and
Mhm.
therefore paying for it by dying. But in this, Jim is kind of using his. He ends up
Yes.
winning.
No,
So
that is the coolest thing about this ending thematically is he is the only one that uses his rage smartly, and he
Mhm.
so that's why I don't like all the alternate endings where he dies, because then at the end of the day you're saying thematically it doesn't matter if you have rage, then you die.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's what they're going for. It's more just he's just fulfilled, or self actualized. I think him dying can work, if it's on his
I
own
don't
terms,
know.
if it's saving people. But it's wonky execution. But like I was saying earlier, rage itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's just how you use it, and manage it.
But I think if you're gonna have this be, oh, he's using the rage to like help, and then he
Mhm.
dies anyway, then you're just saying, well, anyone who uses rage will give into it.
But not if he dies saving people. Like, the context is different.
So was he originally supposed to die in this scene?
No.
No, so okay. You know that scene where like he's laying on the operating table and they're like trying to fix him?
Yeah.
Like 3 out of 4 deleted deleted endings are just variations of him dying during that operation.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Which
it's
is
like
where it
supposed to
comes in
be.
where I come in with saying, well, if you're gonna do that, then he didn't really die for a purpose, he just died.
But he's wounded saving these people.
But if you're gonna do that,
It's
he
a
needs to die in the
selflessness.
action of saving them, not die after.
That's fair. Again, that's not even the ending we have.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying in the
Yeah.
ending that we have, his death is pointless. Or in the ending we almost had, I should say.
Almost had.
I still wouldn't call it pointless, but the idea though, it's supposed to be like he goes back to sleep. Like he had his purpose. He was self-actualized, and now he's going back to sleep.
I just woke up from a nap, and now I'm gonna go
Yeah.
back and take another nap.
But
It's fine.
no, I think what they were going for with him dying on the operating table, it's like he's back where he was at the start of his movie with his parents. Like his parents, the note they left was like, "We're gonna go to sleep with you." Like that's what they leave behind for him. So I think that's what they were going for.
Okay.
In the version where he died.
Interesting.
Again, I had still mixed on how it was handled, and I'm mostly fine with the ending we get.
I like the ending we get, which we'll
I did
get
too.
to.
And I like this scene, but again, it's like suddenly she's not a badass anymore. She's just a damsel.
I mean, she hasn't been a badass since like the grocery store.
Since the first half of the movie. But I do love this scene of him just going ham on this dude. It is so violent.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm glad this bike courier that hasn't had a proper meal in days could fight a military guy.
You're
Rage is a
usually
hell of a
hung up on
drug.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's adrenaline, certainly.
I mean, I'm mostly blowing up how big of a deal it is, like just for the commentary, but
John hates this movie,
it's just this
everybody.
movie was really smart with some of its character stuff in the first half, and it feels like we've gotten really sloppy.
I don't fully feel that. I love this scene where she's like, "Are you infected?" And it's that movie thing where he should talk sooner than he does, but he doesn't for dramatic effect. Because she does come really close to killing him, but that is a great payoff to earlier, where she says,
I said I'm all right.
Oh
yeah,
my god. How would Ash operate in this scenario?
Well, you see, he's the chosen one, so he'd be immune.
That's true.
You're really lucky that none of that blood on his face is infected blood.
Yeah.
Yep. This is a good bit of comedy, though. I thought he was
He's
fighting
alright.
you.
Are you stoned? Oh yeah, so she is on drugs.
Like so, the tone definitely changes here, but I like it. I like their
I
dynamic.
said can we recut this movie and it's just Jim getting progressively more irritated? I'm fine. I said I'm fine. It's raining. You might want to put a shirt on. Cause see,
No,
this is what I mean, Robert. Is he doesn't even go down helping people. He goes down because Christopher Eccleston is hiding in that car like a cartoon villain.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if they shot different variations of that moment.
If they
The idea
did, I
might
haven't
be
seen any of them.
but it like if the idea is supposed to be he's taking a bullet for Salida, like that's fine.
But he's
I
not.
still,
Eccleston was purposefully talking to him.
mhm. But I also think Eccleston's trying to kill all of them. I don't know. I will say though, if I could change this movie, it is for me, I do think it's a bit far fetched that he does survive a shot to the gut, and then we get the amazing freeze frame that I forgot about, which is a really weird choice, but I like it. And very 2000s.
Very 2000s.
And then, okay, so Noah, this scene is cut down
Yep.
so much. Like, you just get snippets of it.
I forgot about that freeze frame. That's beautiful.
But when they take him,
Oh,
like, put him on
the
the
title
table.
of the movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're operating on him, like, that's a full scene, and they cut it down to just a few seconds.
Okay, yeah.
And then again, I questioned, like, is there like a setup about Selena training to be a nurse or something? Like, how does she know how to do this? That's
The
a
same
question
way
I
that
have.
Jim
Maybe.
knew how to take on an entire squadron of military.
No, that's fine. That's adrenaline. What? He kills like 2 of them. The zombies do the rest.
Yeah, he also managed to sneak past fully trained soldiers.
It's in the dark. They're complacent. They're not used to dealing with people. It's fine. It's all fine.
I like this shot.
Yeah. And I believe this entire epilogue is shot on film. That's why it has such a different look and color to it.
It looks like a real movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as an insult to the rest of the movie. I'm just saying it looks like a traditional.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see how the new one ages because that's all shot on iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
But I don't know. We're
Selena's
experimenting.
I mean, I'll have to see it, but
It's
can we just
with
make
it's
movies
it's
like
not,
normal.
they
So
are.
it says
That's
here
John.
Selena
Something
new
is.
things.
normal.
Anyway.
So it says here Selena is a former chemist and survivor of the outbreak. Okay, I mean, so she was a
So
chemist.
that's probably a comic.
If a bike courier can take out soldiers, then a chemist can operate on a gunshot
do you
wound.
agree with me that it's more believable that he's able to sneak through and do what he does than her operating surgery on him and with a bullet to the gut?
I buy him doing all that stuff. I guess, because performing surgery is a very specific,
delicate, specific
thing that you need to learn.
He runs up on one guy and hits him in the head with a crowbar. It's not.
Yeah, the fact that he gets the drop on a
no,
soldier in the slightest is insane.
It's raining. Okay,
He's a pretty lean guy, you know.
Yeah. John thinks soldiers are invincible and can do
They're
anything.
invincible. I just don't think they're idiots and they have training.
I see your point.
I kind of stupid.
I kind of see your point, though, John, especially because he doesn't have the training that they do. But I don't know.
And yes, I understand that it's adrenaline, but he also hasn't had a proper meal in a month.
He's eating.
And he has a stick, basically.
It's like a crowbar.
Do you think they saw their message?
I think they did.
That is also in Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits in that like montage when you see them operating on him is just that little snippet of hell written out, and you're like, it's so trippy and weird, and then you get the payoff to that with the hello. Sign they're making, like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
You know what? I will say, because I forgot the full context of the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been fine if we just never made another one of these.
No, this is a very happy ending. Like, maybe too much. I think it's fine.
You think so? I think it's kind of ambiguous.
I think it's ambiguous, but it's that Romero ambiguous where it works. Like, if you don't make any more, it's fine. You can just decide which way it goes. It's not ambiguous, and well, we're saying it's ambiguous, but logically, it would only go one way.
Yeah, no, I mean we're not left on a definitive answer to whether or not their message was seen. So I don't really read it as that much of a happy ending, personally.
John, remember that scene in Star Wars when a farm boy is running around a military base shooting trained soldiers who can't
I
hit
thought we
anything.
moved on.
Remember when that?
I thought
Remember
we
when that
moved
farm?
on.
Remember when that farm boy was trained in superpowers?
For half a day.
Okay, he still wasn't a bike courier that hadn't eaten in a month.
Yeah,
So
but yeah, I think the ending of this movie is pretty ambiguous, personally.
Anyway, that has been our
I think
commentary
it's
on.
Jim. Well, no, we're not done yet. The credits are rolling. I think it's Jim
Nope.
surviving on top. I think it's Jim surviving on top of that that makes it feel like more of a happy ending to me. And one of the other endings they shot. Oh, go
I
on.
think. Well, I think it just feels happier only because they didn't go with the bleak ending of him dying. I think it's happy in comparison to that.
Well, and one
As,
of
as an ending on its own, I personally wouldn't call it happy.
oh yeah, that's fair. Maybe I've just seen the other versions because one of them is
For sure, yeah.
he dies on the table and it's just the two girls walking down the hallway and it just ends there. Like
Yeah,
real.
and then there's
doesn't
a
even
third
leave
one.
with this sign.
There's a third one that wasn't shot. It's just storyboarded, but now I can't remember exactly what it was.
And the one that I remember that was really bad is it's the same ending with them making the hello sign. And I think it's like kind of recut with what they ended up going with. But there's a bit of Selena talking while she's sewing something, and she says Jim, like she's talking to Jim. And if I remember this right, it's a fake out because then we cut to a chicken that she's named Jim. So it's like a fake out to make you think he's alive, but he's not.
Oh
And
no,
it's probably, if I remember that right, I think that was the worst one.
I don't like that.
So,
That's
yeah,
silly.
there are all
I
kinds
have
of
a thing to say about
endings.
that, but real quick. Hello, Jareth. You're
Sure.
just in time for 28 weeks later.
Hello.
Tyler says the look at Noah's eye said it all. Is like another classic John and Robert debate. Are they classics at this point?
I
They
hope
are.
so.
They're kind of iconic.
Well, Noah just got burnt out on all the debating in the first half of this commentary.
Yeah.
I forgot about that chicken ending. That's very like Silent Hill. Because remember I told you there's that ending where you find out that a dog is behind all of it. No, I would have respected the fuck out of that ending because that's hilarious.
Yeah, like you said, they went through a bunch of versions and they were like, "Fuck it, he lives."
Yeah, because it's the only ending that you could go with that makes sense with what's there.
But yeah, that was 28 days later.
All right, everybody, that
Tension.
has been our commentary for 28 days later. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one.